Hello and welcome to another episode of Policy in Wonderland. I'm your host, Avi Amira, and as you already know, in Policy in Wonderland, just like Alice, we are going to explore and see the wonderful world of insurance, insurtech, and everything that's connected to this amazing ecosystem. In Policy in Wonderland, you will meet startups from all over the world, key figures, brokers, and more. And before we jump in, remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter to stay updated on all things InsurTech and connect with others who share your passion for innovation in insurance. So, without further ado, we travel today to California, and I want to invite my guest to join me as we go down the rabbit hole. Please welcome Steven Goldstein. Hey, Steven.
Hey, Evie, nice to see you.
So it's great to see you again, and
Likewise.
thank you for being here right now and recording with me.
Thank you for having
So
me.
with pleasure. Your tagline on LinkedIn is the insurance renaissance man, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So
we'll talk about that.
let's talk about it right now. What
Okay,
does
great,
this
great.
title mean to you? Why?
Yeah, so it's funny. It feels a little bit self-serving to have it on there, and I always feel like I want to change it, but someone actually called it to me, or called me the insurance renaissance man at a happy hour not too long ago, and I was like, that sounds great. I want to put that on my LinkedIn profile and see how it
And it
jives.
wasn't, and it wasn't drink or something.
No, I don't think it was. But
Okay.
um, um, why this person mentioned it to me is I had shared, my career in insurance has been very interesting, and I've been very blessed to be able to do all the things that I've done in insurance, and I've really, take pride in the fact that I've sat in most seats that you can sit in within insurance. So I started in the business as a financial planner selling insurance. I was predominantly selling life insurance and annuities. Uh, I've realized lately one of the more forming experiences for me in insurance was I sold a life insurance policy and had to deliver the claim check when the individual passed to his beneficiary, which was the wife that we had set out the plan for. And when I delivered that and we kind of went through everything, she was like, "This is exactly what you promised my husband. This is very valuable." I was like 25 years old, and I was like, wow, insurance actually can be good. And so that was kind of my first foray into insurance. Unfortunately, I was a financial advisor during the 2008 crisis, so I just didn't last in that particular aspect of the field. I then became a wholesaler on the carrier side, selling to financial advisors. Got recruited by my parent company, which was in the UK, for a global overseas kind of development program. Launched a carrier in Poland, did internal audit in the head office in London, looking after a lot of the businesses. Ran agency and bank assurance in Malaysia for 4 years. Um, then moved back to the US in 2017. I was about 8 years in total overseas. Started writing about insurtech. I'd never been like a writer before. I was going to all the conferences. That's actually how I first started getting my foray into the US, was going as a member of the press with a press badge to conferences. Then people asked me to start running their social media handles, and I was like, wait, I don't. That's not what I do. I'm more in the business. Spent about 3 years at RGA on the reinsurance side. It was kind of reinsurance venture services. We had a lot of stuff going on. I was leading go to market for RGAX, which was the innovation venture and incubator arm of RGA. And then for the last 3.5 years, I've been back on my own in a consultant and advisory capacity. So um, the Renaissance man comes from, really having served and operated across the full stack. While most of it has been focused predominantly on distribution, because of some of my senior levels within the corporate world, as many know, within distribution, in sales, you're touching product and you're touching operations and you're touching actuarial. So, actuaries would come to me in our Poland project and say, "Hey, Stephen, how much commission do you want to pay the agents?" And I say, "I don't know. How much can we pay them?" They say, "Well, we got this much loading." I'm like, "All right, pay it all, because that's how we're going to get them to sell." The operations people would come to me and say, "Hey, how are they going to submit new business? How do we need to process a claim?" So uh, I've had a very I've been very fortunate and blessed, as I said earlier, for the experiences that I've had in my career, and now I'm able to really take kind of that broad experience and apply that to a number of different ways within both the startup ecosystem, the carrier and incumbent ecosystem, and a little bit of everywhere in between through my current practice, Tetra G.
Can you please change the angle of the camera a
Yeah,
bit lower so I can see you?
that better?
It's like too close. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Um, 2021.
Do you need me to repeat that?
No, no. I just
Okay.
waited for you to stop and then okay. Breakdown.
Was that okay? I never know when I'm rambling or not.
Now, I love it how you combine it with the Renaissance and your background. So it was a great, like three questions in one.
Great.
um, let's talk about Tetra, your new venture, Tetra G, right? This is the full name. First of all, what
Yep.
is Tetra?
So Tetra G. So I started it 3.5 years ago when I left RGA. M- when I was thinking of a business name, for some reason in my head, the only thing that kept coming in my vision was a G to the power of four. Um, Part of that is little known fact. Both of my parents actually had the last name Goldstein before they got married. So I had four Goldstein grandparents growing up. All four of them have passed away now. And for quite some, basically since I was a child. And I don't know, for some reason, I've always thought like I've had four Goldsteins because I had the four generations of grandparents, and I always thought G to the power of four would be a cool logo for the
Nice.
business. Um, to the power of two is squared, and the power of three is cubed. I didn't know what the power of four was, and it's tetra. So I
Right.
put it together, Tetra G. So that's where Tetra G comes from. A little homage to my parents. Um, I know they're looking down on me.
Love it.
Hopefully
Okay,
proud.
nice.
So
I
the
can guess it.
practice, the thank you. The practice has been evolving. There's many people that leave the corporate world to set out to become an entrepreneur, whether they want to start a tech company, they want to start a consulting and advisory business, or what have you. Some people don't have the choice when they leave the corporate world, and they have to kind of figure it out from there. Um, I was lucky that I had the choice to leave. I was in a position where I was ready to move on. Truth be told, my first plan was to buy an agency and kind of get back to my roots. Um, and I had set up Tetra G on the side just to do some consulting and earn some cash while I was doing due diligence on the agency that I was going to buy.
Okay.
We can save that for another podcast discussion because I eventually walked away from that agency, and it was really kind of through just some self reflection and everything that I said, all right, the consulting that I was doing on the side, if I actually took a long and hard look at it, I could actually productize some of the things that I was doing and actually make it a proper consulting business. So I did about 2.5 years of, I'd say, side gigs. And it was really earlier this year that I said, okay, let's make Tetra G a proper business, have an engagement strategy of how folks can work with me and how I can work with different members of the ecosystem, not only based on my corporate and work experience, but also my consulting and advisory experience that I'd done in the first 2.5 years. So today, I like to say we've got three kind of core engagement models to the market. So for startups, I call it advisory board as a service, where I can either serve as an advisor to these startups
Mhm.
and or I can help them with building their advisory board. Through both my corporate experience as well as the last 3.5 years, I've got a bench of about I probably under say this, but at least 50 executives across the value chain that have experience in actuarial, underwriting, operations, sales, marketing, what have you. And sometimes I'll have startups come to me and say, "Hey, we've been told that you're a great advisor. Most of my stuff with startups is focused on go to market, value prop positioning,
Hmm.
a little bit of fundraising, partnerships." And they say, "Hey, we might just need that." In other cases, they say, "Well, we're looking for that, but we're also looking for someone with an actuarial background and a marketing background and this background." So now what I've been able to do is not only position myself as an advisor, but bring some of my, what I like to call the A squad, of people that I've met over the years and say, "Okay, well, I've actually got two of the top chief actuaries in market, or a couple of the top chief underwriters." So it's been fun to be able to build a number of advisory engagements as well as advisory boards for startups. And I've also realized through this whole process that startups needs different levels of engagement as advisor. Sometimes they just need someone that's on call and they want someone that they can, run strategy by, and that they can maybe say, "Hey, I've got a big meeting with a carrier and I think you know them. Can you sit in the meeting?" And I have some engagements that are really just kind of, I'd say, low touch. And then some startups really need you where you kind of roll up your sleeves and we say, "We need you delivering some stuff each month." Not as like an employee, but almost as like I don't use this word too often, but almost like a fractional executive, where it's like, I've worked across the value chain. I've got different areas that I can help you with. Use me as you need me. I'll tell you what I can't do for sure, but there's a lot of things that I can be flexed on, and I've got a few engagements there. So that's the startup model, really advisory board as a service, as I call it. Um, on the incumbent front, I say these are for more larger organizations, whether it's carriers, reinsurers, service providers, distributors like BGAs, RIAs, wealth managers, or anyone that's like, again, a larger company within the insurance ecosystem. Um, that proposition is more of a consultative nature, and it's more project based. And what I've found is a slight niche with respect to companies that want to enter a new vertical or offer new products in a different segment, and they want to know how best to win. And what I've crafted is kind of a 3 month engagement where we can do internal discovery, where we say, "Okay, where do you win today? Where do you not win? Where are you good at? What are you not good at? And what are your hypotheses for this new vertical that you want to go out and tackle?" Then I'll go and interview a bunch of a lot of that A squad and others in market that are decision makers in that vertical that they're trying to tackle. And then we'll put together a report that says, based on your internal assets and what the market's saying, here's your best go to market plan for that new vertical that you're trying to attack. So that's kind of more for larger incumbents. And again, I can tap into the A team for, folks. We actually just wrapped up a project in Q3 where I worked with one of my chief actuarial friends, and we helped a large data and analytics provider define new use cases that they could attack within the life insurance and group benefits segment. So I was really good at kind of like the go to market kind of value prop stuff, and the actuary, I mean, she was incredible in writing the detailed use cases that we could go after in that space. So that's more the consulting proposition. And then the last is what I affectionately call the Tetra G ecosystem. And what I found is through both my startup engagements as well as my consulting engagements is that I get asked for things above and beyond what I do. And so what I've done is I've carefully curated specific partnerships that I can refer my clients and prospects to, and enjoying, frankly speaking, I'm a transparent person, enjoying some of the upside of the collaboration. So um, I've now have partnerships with a policy admin system, with a reinsurance broker, with a UX UI design firm exclusively focused on insurance, a group of developers that focus on fintech and insurance, and a consulting firm that focuses on pricing and packaging. So, really trying to be a one-stop shop of, hey, here's the things that I can do as an advisor and a consultant, and then here's things that I can do to tap into other experts within the ecosystem.
What do you find is the most challenging engagement?
Um, you mean the ones that I've currently done, or
No,
just
no.
in general?
You said that you talked about the three engagement, right?
Yeah.
The advisory board, the incumbents, and the ecosystem. What is the most challenging one?
Um, I think all have their own challenges, and it all kind of I know that's a safe answer for me to say, but they all have different challenges in different ways, right? So founders in the startup one, um, you know, fundraising environment is still a little bit difficult. It's been difficult over the last few years.
Mhm.
So runway can be an issue depending on how the startup is funded. Uh, the expectations of their investor can kind of change the nature of the engagement, and I could get calls saying, "Hey, we got to pivot to this," or focus of the founder. So I say that those can be challenges on the first. On the second, on the consulting front, frankly speaking, it's prioritization from the incumbent, right? It's they had a new change in leadership. They had some numbers that didn't hit in the quarter. They all of a sudden had some new tool that someone came up across, and all of a sudden, whatever they were working on, whatever was a priority, is no longer a priority. And so you can't either the engagement doesn't even start because of that, or then you're in the engagement and you're just not getting the right people and input that you need because they're focused on other things. On the third one, on the ecosystem, it's great. The biggest thing is lack of control, right? On the first two things, I control the whole process and everything, and on the third one, I'm handing it off and hopefully back channeling and getting information. And again, I've carefully curated those partners because I trust them and I know that we have good flow of information. But again, sometimes things slip through the cracks, and you're like, "Hey, I didn't know that happened." So I'd say those are the kind of the challenges that I can broadly experience across all three.
Before we wrap, I have two questions. First of all, what do you see as the biggest challenges right now facing the insurance industry, PNC and life, benefits, etc.?
Yeah. Um, I'll caveat my answer by saying I'd say the majority of my time is spent on the life space today. So my PNC comments might not be that valid, but on what I hear from my folks on the PNC side, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, is while the markets might be softening from like a pricing and underwriting perspective, um, the cost of claims still hasn't necessarily come down, and the cost of repairing properties and autos and the frequency. So not only the severity, but then the frequency of events happening from like a weather perspective and what have you aren't slowing down. So while pricing might be coming a little bit better and softening a little bit, you still have some of these external factors which could affect the markets in the years to come. That's how I understand it from PNC perspective. Um, from a life perspective, I'd say you know you got a couple of things happening right now. I think pure life insurance, they're still trying to figure out like how do we innovate the best, right? Is it accelerated underwriting? Is it medical records? Is it APSs? Is it end of life planning tools? Is it more engagement? Because there's lesser and less people that are needing in the traditional sense pure play life insurance. So I think there's some interesting things happening in the life insurance space. Um, I think COVID recognized the need to have a plan for your family if someone does pass away. So I do think we're going to see more in life insurance, and there's got to be some cool things that we can do there. And I've got a couple projects I'm working on in that space, uh, specifically on the distribution front. I think what we saw was a lot of these D2C life insure techs in the early days had a lot of promise, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, now I'd say the majority of them, if not all, are selling their products through agents because that's where they see the relationship is for life insurance. The annuity front is crazy right now. If you've looked at annuities, like I heard a president of a carrier last week say you can't stop that train right now. And I think there's a lot of needs for annuities across the board, whether it's fixed index, the RILAs, the variable annuities. That's kind of where my world initially started, and I continue with the sales and where interest rates are at. And yeah, I see a lot of I see a lot of still growth and innovation happening there. The other two areas that I think are quite interesting in the life space, long-term care. There's been some regulatory tailwinds in that space, like with the Washington Cares Act, and that's also happened in it's been kicked around in California and possibly other states too. Um, Again, similar to the need for life insurance in a plan, as I mentioned earlier, I think long-term care will come in more. People are living longer. Um, um, I'm currently a caregiver for my aunt, and I've seen that process now firsthand, and it is not like the folks that are working on that, like bless their heart, because uh, I knew that it wasn't easy, but it wasn't until I experienced it firsthand that I'm like, this is a problem. And so I think long-term care is super interesting, and then the benefit space because I think more and more people are realizing, at least for the folks that are still at their employer, there is still some brand value there. And as an independent consultant, I can say like, buying all my benefits on the exchange and are not cheap, and so finding things and ways to do more for small businesses and solopreneurs, as well as continuing to have a robust panel of benefits for employees, I think is super important to be able to attract, retain, and enhance talent within corporate folks as well.
As we start right now, the 2025, is there any, what is your vision, first of all? Or is there any goals in particular that you are want to accomplish in 2025?
Yeah, there's a lot. um,
Nice.
this year, as I mentioned, it was earlier this year, kind of beginning of this year, that I really doubled down on the business. Very grateful for where it's at, and I've got a good foundation now. So I've got some, excuse me, certain numbers, KPIs, and what have you for next year that I want to achieve. I do have some new kind of partnerships that are happening in the new year, so stay tuned for that. A couple of my A Squad uh, 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 members, we've been chatting about seeing how we could do a little bit more collaboration, because some of the stuff that we've been doing has been great, and so it's want to see how we can potentially elevate that a little bit. So stay tuned for that, and then just continuing. I've had some really big wins for a couple of the companies that I work with. One of my startups that I advise, I just got news yesterday. They got accepted the Guidewire Partner Connect program, which is awesome. One of my other startups, we started in beta this year, and we ended the year with three paying clients. Um, so kind of continuing to kind of have growth and scale within my own portfolio, and then just trying to make good connections and impact the ecosystem at large where I can. You know, I've become a lot. I think everyone needs to be clear. Brett and I actually had this conversation about a month ago about like,
Hey, Brett.
we all play. Hey, Brett. um, we we all play our role in the ecosystem, right? And we all have things that we're good at. We have things that we're not good at. We have people that we can lean on. And I think the more and more I know personally that I know where my place sits, it allows me to be that more impactful. And then knowing where everyone else sits, then I can be like, hey, Evie, I've got this thing going on. We should chat about that. Hey, Brett, anyone that calls me that asks me about PNC broker tools, one of my top five questions is, have you spoken to broker Brett yet? Right. Like, um,
Nice.
so, it's leaning on the right people, connecting the right dots, um, and just continuing to add value and have fun. Like but part of me, this is no knock to any of the previous companies that I was in, and I loved, and I had a great experience in all of them. But part of the reason I'm independent right now is I want to choose what I want to work on. and I want to have fun doing it. So the founders that I work with, like I'd say that's becoming the number one thing for me as a decider of whether I'm going to work with a company or on a startup or not is the founder. Um, on the carrier side, I want to work with an innovative, or on the incumbent side, I want to work with innovative companies. And on the partner side, like I want to work with people that can deliver and do cool stuff. So, you know, uh, I know that doesn't really say exactly what my goals are for 2025, but
No,
it's, I guess, a lot of
en-
the same and continuing to move
enjoy
it
the
up.
journey. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, yeah.
If I can conclude it, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. So yeah, I
I like that.
totally
I
agree.
like that.
Um, Steven, thank you very much. As always, every chat with you
Thank you,
is
Evie.
like, for me, is inspiring and motivated. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for right now
Th-
sharing with us all the insight. So yeah.
my pleasure, and thank you for the kind words, and thank you again for having me today. This has been great. I always enjoy talking to you as well.